All right, so apparently the Daily Mail has another article up. I know I've been dissecting a lot of the Daily Mail stuff because it's just so very interesting that this is the kind of journalism that's part of the royal rota, the kind of journalism that they use to drive Meghan, Duchess of Sussex, out of the UK, and the kind of journalism that the British people are consuming and people around the world and making this fact. So here, listen to this. Meghan shares the same narcissistic and controlling quality as Wallace Simpson and also married a similarly weak man, royal biographer claims. Her name apparently is Sally Bedell Smith, and she says Meghan Markle changed William and Harry's dynamic. And apparently she's not English, she's American, apparently. So this article is by Matthew Lodge. Is he famous? What has he been saying? No idea. And he goes on to say, Meghan Markle shares the same narcissistic and controlling qualities. He repeated that in what he said in the title. Sally Bedell Smith, who is one of the royal family's authorized biographers, has claimed that the Duchess of Sussex is domineering and has changed the dynamic between William and Harry. Speaking on the topic while promoting her latest book, says Matthew Lodge, which looks at how King George VI saved the monarchy following the abdication of his older brother Edward in 1936. Bedell Smith said there were parallels between the two sets of relationships. Okay. Let me see what else she said before I say what I have to say. The American author said she felt Prince William would have felt a similar sense of betrayal. Okay. And, but I mean, what else did she say? Paul Wallace. Now, when you put this in context, you can see what they did to Wallace. They hate women who, well, first, women hate women. Nobody hates women more than other women. I mean, when we're friends, we're friends. But when a woman hates a woman, not even misogynistic men of the worst kind can compare. Women hate women with more vengeance than men could ever hate women. And women resent what they perceive as foreign women coming in and taking their men. And that's how they saw Wallace. She was American, she wasn't British, and that's why they've hated her to this day. They will hate her to perpetuity. Don't ever, as I said before in another video, and I say it with all due respect, and I know it's going to offend some people, but I think all women, let me start there. All women are very possessive of the men who resemble them physically. So if you have women in China, they are very possessive of Chinese men. Okay, Indian women, they're very possessive. Muslim women. I mean, one time I was walking down the street with a Muslim guy, and I was stunned. I mean, it was just, I was just walking down the street. It's just a friend. I mean, it's not my boyfriend or anything. And all of a sudden, Muslim women who never paid any attention to me at all, ever, because clearly we don't have a heck of a lot in common. All of a sudden, they were all staring at me, and the looks, the looks. I was like, oh my God, they can kill with that look, right? African women, the same thing. And, people perceive, Black women as just one big bunch, and maybe just in some ways, they move as a bunch in some context. But you can have women from Ghana attacking a woman from, say, Jamaica if she comes in and take their men, and vice versa, right? Women are very possessive of men, right? But I don't think any other group of women are more possessive of men than British women. I say that with all due respect, right? And that's why they hated Wallace Simpson. They turned this woman into an absolute devil. This poor woman was probably so kind-hearted, right? And she probably never even asked this guy to abdicate. Look, it's really complex. I'm not going to sit here and fight Wallace's battles, but the idea that you're now going to compare Meghan to Wallace is really, it's really precious, right? It's really precious. And so what did they say? What did I want to talk about? Wait a minute. What did she say in the title? She said in the title that Meghan shares the same narcissistic and controlling quality, and she married a similarly weak man. What do I have to say about that? I wanted to focus on the weak man aspect because I see it differently, and I see it in an opposite way. I mean, in the case of Edward, King Edward the Sixth, was it the sixth? Edward Sixth, whatever he was, seventh, whatever. I don't care. It takes, I think, a very strong man. I think a weak man goes along with the status quo. Really, he doesn't ruffle feathers. He doesn't stir the pot. He doesn't rock the boat. He goes along no matter what, because he is a weak, spineless jellyfish who can't stand up for his own principles, his own ideas, and his own desires. That to me is a weak man. And Sally Biddell Smith, I mean, she must be drinking the same cocktail that a lot of the people in the UK are drinking, because she's completely brainwashed if her idea of a weak man is one who stands up for what he wants and one who lives his truth. Ditto for Harry. Because to me, you know what a weak man is? A weak man is a man who stands by silently and lets his wife take the blame, lets his wife be attacked for actions that they were both involved in. For example, with Prince William and what just recently happened with Princess Kate and that photograph that he took and that she allegedly doctored. And then when the entire world turned on Kate and called the entire monarchy a bunch of propagandists and completely denounced them as spreading lies and propaganda and misleading the public and breaching the public trust, and she just got a heap of bad press. What did this strong man do? Because if we're going to say that Harry is weak, it means that he's being compared to someone who's strong, and that's always William. What did William do for his wife? You want to talk about strong and weak men? Let's start with that. And that's why I say that there's a very counterintuitive way that these people think that's completely effed up. It's completely effed up. It's actually confusing. You start to doubt yourself. Like, wait a second. That's strong and this is weak? This man stood up for his truth. He stood up for his desires. And most of all, he stood up for his wife. It was like a Bill Clinton throwing his body on Hillary when that light fixture was going to drop on her. He was willing to put his life on the line for her. With all his faults, he was willing to do that. That's what Harry did. He stood up for his wife, knowing the consequences were going to be monumental. They were going to ricochet for decades, right? And reverberate and shake the very foundations of the British monarchy and what it means to be a member of the royal family. This man stood up against all that. The attacks from the press, the scorn from his family, his own sense of traditions and belonging. He stood up against all the innuendos, the expressed, the implied, for his truth and his principles. And when he was done, he flew back a few times in his suit to face them in court, to face them like a warrior. And he continues to sail his ship with his wife and family like a hero. This man is a warrior. This man's skills come from his background in the military, I'm sure. He didn't break and he didn't crash. And this idiot, this is an idiot, this idiot author and these two idiots, these are idiots. I don't usually call names. They're pushing me to this. You see, I don't like to call people names. I really don't. I don't do it in my life. That's why I stopped blogging on this for almost a year, because they're turning me into this thing, where I say things I don't like to say. But these are idiots. This is an idiotic title, right? An idiocy in the article, right? Trying to turn me into a fucking idiot. There I curse. You see, they make me curse as well. They make me curse. I'm sorry. I'm going to, you know what? When I was 18 years old, I, for the first time, tried to stop cursing. I mean, it was a resounding failure. It was a failure. I tried everything. I prayed. Then I had, when I started working, I was working, in New York. And my colleague, one of my colleagues, who's still one of my good friends, he could not stop cursing either. So we had this curse cup where we would, if you curse, you have to put 25 cents. I mean, that thing was full in one day. Okay. It's not possible, but I have to stop. I don't want to curse, but they drive me to this. They drive me to it with their idiocy. It's idiotic. It's idiotic, right? It's idiotic, right? I'm making some soup. Okay. Oh la la. I need some carbohydrates. Okay. Look. So that was that. I don't want to say anything else about it. Idiotic. Harry is a, a weak man and William is a strong man. If you say so, Sally Bedell Smith, right? If you say so, right? Voila.